In this video, we're going to go over the image-to-image module for Shima. Now, what you're looking at here is a workflow setup with a 1.5 loader and sampler, a control net section, and a commons, right? But we're not going to worry about this overly, other than to say it's here so that it can generate images for us. But what we're really going to be going over is this module here. So let's take you through each piece of it step by step and tell you what's going on, right? Image to image is a system that effectively takes your input image and then it re-encodes it as a latent and then applies new conditioning to that latent in order to make you a new image that's based off of the previous image but is not the original image. So in this workflow, we get our image from here, right? And this is gen image. It's being fed from that sampler. Below that is a scaling operation that sets it to the particular SD version that we're using, in this case 512. The short side is scaled to 512, which is then passed into a VAE encoder, and that latent goes off to over here. We also have some passers directly below it that bring in other elements. We could do this with a multi-pipe as well, but at the moment not everything in Shima is using a multi-pipe, so I'm not fitting that in everywhere yet. Over here we have the opportunity to set a new seed or use a common seed, just as before. And below that is our conditioning area. We have a ComfyUI styler node that's right here, just like in your samplers, or rather in your loader modules. Rather, sorry, you can apply those same styles here to your new conditioning. You also have the ability to write a new positive and new negative prompt, and then below that is the workflow saver that you would normally have in effectively almost every module, right? Upper right side, we can load a LoRa, and in here we are doing that. We're loading an add detail LoRa, and that is controlled by this green switch. Below that is the K sampler, which produces our image after all of this stuff is considered. Down below that, these orange nodes allow us to define various send variables. In this case, we're sending it to anything, any title node that matches the pattern. We're sending it to groups of send1. This mask target is for sending out a mask image that you might create here via right-click and open a mask editor. And that is because if you don't have a separate name for this, you will get execution errors where it will tell you that there is effectively a loop condition, and it just won't run the workflow. It'll tell you at the top, actually. The other option for that, if you don't want to bother, changing this to something, you could, if you're running into loop conditions, you could always just mute your mask with Control M, but I like just setting this to something that isn't named anything else within the workflow, and that solves that condition without leaving a muted node that you might forget, right? Down below that is a comparator target, and this is used in a new module, module 14, I think. Module 14 called the Comparator, which you'll see in a moment as like a preview, but we won't go into it. It'll have its own very short video because it's a very short or very simple node. All right, so let's go ahead and queue up an image with the things that are here and see what we get. The sampler is doing its job. If we zoom out, we can actually see that happening over here. And it's going to produce our familiar redhead. that image is now being piped over to two locations, but the important one being the image-to-image node. And then that has taken this new conditioning that we've given it. We said red hair, and we've added in the face of Taylor Swift because she's pretty cool, whether you like it or not. Down here, negative, we just have a fast negative, right? And we're saving out, or we would be saving out our workflow image here based off of this, if I were to turn this on. And we can see here that this image definitely is a little more Swifty, as well as a little more ET, apparently, going on here. There's some weird ET-ness. And, you know, we're not here to produce the world's greatest image. Obviously, there's some problems here. Like she's got, I don't know, she's sitting on somebody, or I don't know what the hell's going on there. But we'll go ahead and run another generation just for the hell of it while we're moving on down to the comparator so you can sneak preview that. While we're waiting for it to generate, the comparator, what it does is it basically takes the output from the sampler, the raw output from the original sampler, and then it compares it to anything that you choose, right? So in this case, I've got it set for that value up here, compare image to image, is for the comparator send node, right? And so that is getting sent here. And now here is our new image side by side so that we can compare the two easily at the same size and resolution and everything. So it went from this Irish looking girl to Taylor Swift, effectively. And that's what the image-to-image module does. A lot of people love IP adapter, and I do, because it's awesome. But sometimes it's a little unwieldy, maybe a little heavy for what you're trying to do. And so if that's the case, the image-to-image module is nice and lightweight and easy to understand. So I still use it quite often. With that, I appreciate it, and we'll move on to the next topic.